welcome to another segment of Retro Wars or Retro Wars After Hours. We're back with more reviews. My name is Just VA Robotic Elite Fighters, and with me is my other fellow Retro Warriors. They can introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. This is your favorite Crossy here. I was gonna say crosser phonetic, but yeah, we are back again with another Retro Warriors episode.
Does
Woohoo!
it really matter at this point?
Hey,
I'm just saying.
I'm trying to be professional and shit, and you
We
ruined
haven't
it,
been
you
professional since
bitch.
day one.
Okay, true, but go ahead
Hey,
and say
less
your name.
arguing, you two.
What's up, peeps? This is Hazard Chaos, your sarcastic researcher of the Retro Warriors. No, I'm not a mad scientist. Fuck out of here with that
Don't
shit.
worry, guys. We're still looking for the lab. Don't worry.
And of course, I'm Lady Zamasu, the quote-unquote goddess of the Retro Warriors.
And apparently our counselor. We're screwed.
Yay. And I'm the HR guy. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, for those who don't know what we do, we basically sit around, binge watch some shows, gather some notes, and review and talk about them with you. Today we'll be reviewing SWAT Kats. But before we continue, we got a little special guest with us if he likes to introduce himself.
With the power of youth, my name is CleverFoxSOL, and I am here to go ahead and help correct these son of a bitches once and for all in this review, and make sure it's done correctly.
Yeah, he'll probably imply some input and things, but Fox here is a big SWAT Kats fan. When we even talked to him in his server about SWAT Kats stuff, and for those who don't remember Fox, he was in those 2 rant videos Crossy uploaded.
And that's why I'm also here too, is to make sure that this woman here is corrected with her analogies, because if this woman thinks that fucking Yami Yugi is fucking the right thing, nah, she's gonna screw this up.
Okay, well,
I'm
already
here to correct
we definitely just started.
Getting
Yeah.
off the rails.
Anyway, but yeah, he'll most likely put some input if he likes to, and provide extra information. But without further ado, Hazard, go ahead and tell us what SWAT Kats is about for the audience.
Okay, SWAT Kats is a pretty much very much loved animated TV series, which aired back in 1993 to 1994, almost 1995, and it was created by Christian and Yvonne Tremblay, produced by Hanna-Barbera, who was basically very well known for making a lot of old school cartoons from back in the day, like as much as I have to point this out, they also help make stuff like Scooby-Doo and whatnot. Also takes place in the fictional metropolis of Mega Cat City, which is populated by, well, cat people. It basically, as one reviewer put it, it's basically Top Gun meets Batman with cats. And it's actually pretty awesome. Better than it sounds.
Highway through the
I agree with
danger
that statement.
zone.
What was that, Klaus?
Oh, I said I agree with that statement.
It was re-aired throughout the 90s and on Boomerang until 2013. There have been multiple attempts to revive this series or reboot it since it was canceled back in 1994, but unfortunately that has yet to be decided. The Tremblay brothers to this day are still trying to find a network willing to sponsor them at this time, because they already have apparently a lot of the groundwork covered. They're just looking for someone willing to sponsor their basically the return of SWAT Kats. And keep in mind, guys, this series has been around since 1993, but it's 2020 now, and they're still trying to find a way to get it back on the air. They clearly love this series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they had a Kickstarter that gathered enough money to go ahead and produce episodes. And
But for whatever reason, any network they've gone to try and get the series aired, they basically said no.
well, from my understanding, because it's actually not that long ago. It's actually like a week ago that the Timberlake brothers finally, after 2 years, responded with an update to their Kickstarter. And every single network has said no, but the reason for them to say no is because they actually don't think at this current time period that SWAT Kats would actually make a good comeback.
Which is a shame because they had a lot of good ideas from what I've read. on this series and what they're planning to do with it, especially with the essentially comeback series, which was titled SWAT Kats Revolution.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, Netflix has said no. Cartoon Network has said actually recently maybe, but not at this time. And with Timberlake Brothers are now trying to aim for from at this current point in time on the 2nd of 2020, is that they're saying they're trying now to go with HBO Go. That they're in talks now with them, but they don't think that communication is going to work out either. So
They're
we'll see
still
what
trying,
happens.
though, which says a lot about how dedicated they are to the series.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, when the series was canceled, they ended up with essentially 3 unfinished episodes. They had basically the scripts and everything written, but the animation, they were just starting under production animation wise for season 3 when the order came down to basically have the series canceled. And what sucks about this is that, for better or worse, SWAT Kats was essentially canceled at their best, or what could have been their best. We don't know for sure. And it's a shame, but what can you do?
Right.
And part of the reason that this series was canceled was because this series was not monetized properly. The other reasons being that because of the whole controversy around cartoon violence back in the 90s, which was a big issue back then.
Mm-hmm. And wasn't there also an issue with Ted Turner or something from what you and Fox have been saying?
From
Well,
what
there's
Fox can explain it better than I can.
Well, the situation, which I guess you could consider this more of a rumor, but this is where a lot of people have discussed from inside, is that Ted Turner was like the quote unquote the main producer for Captain Planet at the time, which was another Hanna-Barbera cartoon series that, well, wasn't doing as good as SWAT Kats. And the rumor is that, well, hey, look, just like what Hazard was saying about the cartoon violence, Captain Planet was trying not to put in that violence, really, more like saving the planet. So they kind of used it to say, well, you know what, we want to publicize more towards Captain Planet. And that's another reason why SWAT Cat supposedly has been canceled, was in favor to continue more with Captain Planet.
I was so proud when I heard you became an enforcer. I always hoped you'd have a bright and shiny future. But then I heard
That we got booted out of the Enforcers? Yeah. Well, that wasn't exactly our fault. We're still trying to be good guys, though.
Because the success of SWAT Kats was kind of overshadowing what he was trying to produce with Captain Planet. Now,
If that's the case,
with
that
that-
just sounds kind of petty.
it does. Now, that's also another reason why season 1 and season 2 are not drastically, but you could tell the difference between the series of SWAT Kats is because season 1 was actually produced, drawn, and everything done with the Timberlake Brothers, but season 2 was outsourced to a Japanese animation studio.
Luke Studios, actually, yeah.
Yeah, to that studio for the purpose of, hey, look, we're trying to go ahead and try to save money to show, hey, we want to really produce the series. Well, me personally, I like season 2 a lot more because of the dark and edge tone of it.
I think a lot of fans could easily say the same. And according to not just a few reviewers, but from my own personal experience, the darker overtones of season 2 was what actually cemented the fan base going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, if you take a look at this current generation, majority of people turn to anime, and then with that anime style put on SWAT Kats, it really did showcase the series a lot better. It kind of gave it that
Yeah.
deep, like Batman feel to it.
Pretty much. Which is why the analogy of Batman and Top Gun meets Top Gun, but with cats.
Danger zone.
Danger
But yeah,
zone.
it seems like Ted Turner seemed to play a big part of somewhat in this, but I figured I'd bring that up because I was remembering how Fox brought that to the table, and I figured it'd be important information to bring. So, I believe now what we talk about is favorite characters, or no, not favorite characters. We talk about the characters of the show, like major important characters. So I think Hazard and Fox can help with some dialogues or info about the
Before we
characters.
go with that, like, what would be
Hmm?
like Zammy and Crossy's thoughts on this? I mean, we got our thoughts out on it so far, but Crossy,
Yeah.
Zammy, what would you two think?
I think, like, when looking at this cartoon for the first time, like, I felt like it had some stories to tell, but it was kind of like at a bad time, because, like, it would have fit better with, like, the current era, or maybe in the 2000s, or heck, maybe when Toonami was a thing. It could have fit right there, you know?
You wouldn't be far off if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't blame, like, I think personally, going off of what you just said, it would probably be the time frame it came out. But either way, it won fans over regardless.
Yeah.
Zammy, what do you think?
I have to agree with Crossy. It was probably a bad timing. It was more of like our favorite, like maybe 2000s kids, they grew up with reruns of Powerpuff Girls and, all that good stuff on Cartoon Network,
Or
which
basically
they
shows
don't
like Hi
have
Hi Puff
anymore.
Yami Yumi.
Yes, that too.
Hmm.
I
Most
think.
times these shows.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to add the input because I remember this happening in most reviews. Most shows nowadays, it's either bad timing because, or they get cancellations because of poor time slots, most likely, and like how Fox brought it up, because of the whole cartoon violence thing,
Funny
which
thing
is.
is, though, just
Hmm.
sorry to cut you off, but the funny thing about that is that SWAT Kats was not having a time slot issue, from what I remember. It was more, and I remember when I got home from school watching it as myself as a kid. I didn't see it was so much a time slot issue. It was just parents were more like there were a lot of angry parents over the whole cartoon violence thing, but in my opinion, that was kind of a poor reason to cancel it.
Hmm.
I mean, kids back then were all into the more edgy, high octane shows.
But you are too busy being grumpy and rude to feel anything at all!
You may have my body, but you know nothing about me.
You eat, you feel sad, you're even able to worry about your own existence.
I bet Hilda could have given me the answer, but now she's no longer here.
Maybe that's just my standpoint, but that's how I see it.
Right, because the time slot back then, I'm just looking it up right now, was was mostly around 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern time zone, which they would do, I guess, like the same episode, because back then, if I'm not mistaken, back in those days, you could catch like an episode at 2 o'clock, but it was the same episode that was going to play at 4 o'clock. And roughly, like for high schoolers and for elementary kids, you're home by either 2 or 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So you were able to catch it. I do believe personally that it was more of an eternal struggle issue with SWAT Kats because it was a popular series. I remember watching it. I remember I loved it. I remember all my friends in school when I did go to school that time period. We all loved it. We all talked about it. It was a great series. It wasn't a time slot issue. It wasn't like the series was a bad series or anything. I mean, it was competing. Think about it. What other series at that time period in, I guess, in 1994, such for someone like myself, that was there? I mean, you had Thundercats, you had
Thundercats, you had Goof Troop, yeah, Darkwing Duck, even.
Darkwing Duck, and you see when you have like
And
Darkwing
SWAT
Duck,
Kats pulled in consistent numbers.
right? Because I guess the reason why SWAT Kats was a little bit different, in my personal opinion, on this one also, is that you just mentioned, like Darkwing Duck, you had Scooby Doo, you had what was good series, but it wasn't really like when you're a child, you want to be kind of grown up. SWAT Kats kind of presented more of that maturity into a child's atmosphere. It's a child's cartoon show.
Taste of, what an adult could be like in a way.
Right.